Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD, pro physique athlete. Today I'm going to be giving you a full 6-day hypertrophy program based on the push-pull leg split. Push-pull legs is one of the most popular splits out there. It divides up your body into push day, pull day, and leg day. On push day, you train muscles involved in pushing movements, the chest, shoulders, and triceps. And on pull days, you train muscles involved in pulling movements, the back and biceps. And on leg days, you train the legs, so quads, hamstrings, glutes, and calves. The split is ideally set up for 6 days per week, so you're training each muscle group twice in the week. This is going to be a decent starting place for people who don't have very much experience with programming. But I'll tell you right now that the traditional push-pull leg split is not ideal. Today I'll be sharing a modified push-pull leg split that addresses some of the disadvantages of the base split. We'll start off with a program walkthrough where I'll share everything you'll need to know to run the program yourself, including exercises, sets, and reps. This is a low volume program, so one that will work well for beginners or those who respond to low volumes. Then we'll talk about the weekly setup, or how to spread out the workouts across the week, and I am quite particular about this. Then we'll talk about the pros and cons of this 6-day push-pull legs program. Alright, let's do our program walkthrough. This is Dr. Swole's push-pull legs program. It is a low volume program designed for beginners or others who respond to low volumes. The program is primarily designed for hypertrophy, but will also be good for building strength. We have pull day 1, push day 1, leg day 1, then pull day 2, push 2, and legs 2. Here are the exercises and there are the sets and reps. Down here we have the total number of sets for each workout to give you an idea of workout length. And here we have the total number of sets for each muscle group each week. Let's get into it. Pull day number 1, we start off with T-bar rows for the back, 3 sets. And we're using a top set back off method here. So you're going to work up to one top heavy set of 6 to 10 reps. Then you're going to drop about 10% off the bar and then do 2 more back off sets with 6 to 10 reps with lighter weight. There are some back exercises where some strength programming can be implemented, and T-bar rows is one of those examples. Then we have neutral grip pull downs for the back, 3 sets of 8 to 12. After that, barbell upright rows for the side delts, but also the traps, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Then we have cable lateral raises for the side delts, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And then we have machine calf raises for the calves. And we're using a MyRep scheme here. So you're going to work up to one main set of 10 to 15 reps, followed by 5 mini sets of 3 to 5 reps. And you're going to be using the same weight for all these work sets, but only taking about 10 seconds of rest in between. This will make sure that you're staying close to failure and really getting the most out of every mini set. I'll approximate this as 4 straight sets. As I said, this is a modified push-pull leg split. You'll see I made some changes to the base split, which I'll be explaining in a minute. Going on to push day number 1, we start with dumbbell bench press for the chest, 3 sets. And we're using a top set back off method as well. So one top heavy set of 5 to 8 reps followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps with lighter weight. And we have incline machine bench press for the chest, 2 sets of 8 to 12. I always like to include some incline work to target those upper pecs. Then we have machine dips for the triceps, 3 sets of 10 to 15. And you're going to perform these in a tricep focused way. So more just keeping your arms straight behind you and focusing on the triceps. Then we'll have incline dumbbell curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 6 to 10. And finally, cable curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 8 to 12. Then we have leg day number 1. We start off with squats for the quads. We're using a top set back off method here as well. One top heavy set of 5 to 8 reps followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps with about 10% off the bar. Then we have Romanian deadlifts for the glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets of 6 to 10. When I have squats and deadlifts in a program, I tend to like having squats paired with my accessory deadlift movement and my deadlift paired with my accessory squat movement. This is a better way to distribute your fatigue and also spread out your technique practice. If I put RDLs after deadlifts, I would be fatigued and not perform as well on them. Plus, when I separate RDLs and deadlifts out like this, you get a bit of a carryover effect when it comes to strength. So you basically have more opportunities to develop strength, which a beginner can totally capitalize on. Then we have leg presses for the quads, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and finally leg curls for the hamstrings, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Let's look at the changes I made to the base push-pull leg split. You'll see that I took biceps off of pull days and moved them onto push days. Then I took side delt work off of push days, moved them onto pull days, and I also took calves off of leg days and put them onto pull days. This addresses a couple of disadvantages of the push-pull leg split that we'll talk about later. Going on to pull day number 2, we start off with weighted chin-ups for the back. 3 sets of 6 to 10. If you're not strong enough to do weighted chin-ups or even chin-ups in general yet, just start with using an assisted chin-up machine, or you can use bands for assistance. But I really want this to be a major workhorse and strength builder for the back. Then we have single arm dumbbell rows for the back, 3 sets of 8 to 12. After that, barbell upright rows for the side delts, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Machine lateral raises for the side delts, 3 sets of 12 to 20. And then leg press calf raises for the calves. We're also using a MyRep scheme here, so you're going to work up to one main set of 8 to 12 reps, followed by 5 mini sets of 3 to 5 reps. Calves are a pretty easy one to move around. Some people will complain about calves coming back to back with legs, but this really isn't an issue because you're not actually using your calves heavily on most quad and hamstring movements. Then we go into push day number 2. We start with close grip bench press, 3 sets. You're going to work up to one top heavy set of 6 to 10 reps, followed by 2 back off sets of 6 to 10 reps with lighter weight. I think close grip bench presses are amazing for overload of both the chest and triceps, and they do work quite well even as a main movement. Keep in mind that not all accessory lifts are made equal in terms of their overloadability, but close grip bench press is a really good one. Then we go on to dumbbell overhead press, which mainly trains the anterior delts but also gets the triceps and upper pecs a bit. One top heavy set of 5 to 8 reps, followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps with lighter weight. Then we have incline dumbbell flies for the chest, 2 sets of 10 to 15. Hammer curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And you can superset these with your dumbbell flies. After that, we have incline easy bar skull crushers for the triceps, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And machine curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 12 to 20. Going on to leg day number 2, we start up with deadlifts for the glutes and hamstrings. And here you're just going to work up to one main heavy set of 5 to 8 reps. Deadlifts are very fatiguing, so I don't want to include too many of them in your program. Then we have Smith machine squats for the quads, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Barbell back extensions for the glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And for these, you're going to use the back extension machine set to around 55 degrees. And finally, leg extensions for the quads, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Again, you'll see with this push-pull leg segment that I've moved side delts and calves onto pull day number 2. And I've moved biceps off of pull days onto push days over here. Guys, if you're getting value from my program videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. It does take a lot of effort to design these programs. Okay, now that you've seen the program, let's talk about my preferred layout. We have pull day number 1, push day number 1, leg day number 1, then pull day number 2, push 2, legs 2, and rest. I switched up push and pull days, and this differs from the traditional setup, which is push day, pull day, then leg day. The reason I did this is that I want to separate out pull days and leg days as much as possible throughout the week. In general, your back and leg training is going to be the most fatiguing, and you want to spread out your tough movements as much as possible. Notice that legs and pull do come back to back once in the week, but this is better than if you had push pull legs, because then it would happen twice. You'll see that I took our most fatiguing heavy row, which is T-bar rows, and put it on pull day 1, which spreads it out nicely from squats and deadlifts. I placed relatively less fatiguing movements in terms of axial loading on the second pull day, knowing that I have leg day coming before it. Swapping these 2 days also gives me another effect in that it allows me to take biceps off of pull day and move them onto push day. This way you can train your biceps when they're fresh and not fatigued after pulling movements. And having this order allows me to push biceps after back, which is better than the other way around, because having sore biceps could affect your pulling movements. But having a tired back after pull day won't affect your bicep work. People will ask about having a rest day in between your push-pull leg segments, so you have a 3 on, 1 day off type of rotation. I think this is going to be fine for beginners to run, but my preferred setup is to have a true twice per week frequency. Okay, now let's talk about the pros and cons of this push-pull legs program. Starting off with the pros. Push-pull legs is nice for beginners because it's very intuitive to set up. It's pretty easy to divide up your exercises into pushing, pulling, and leg type movements. And it will make sure that you cover all muscle groups. Next, one of the reasons why push-pull legs is so popular is that there's no interference between days. So you don't need to worry about having a sore muscle group impacting the workout the next day. This is nice if you do get quite sore after workouts because you have some time to recover. Some of the higher frequency programs and the more advanced splits you'll see on this channel do have potential interference between days, and you need to be able to auto-regulate to manage those programs. But with push-pull legs, if you just want to go hard, you're going to be fine. Next, push-pull legs does a good job of balancing the upper and lower body. With something like a 4-day upper-lower, where you have 2 upper body days and 2 lower body days, you tend to have trouble giving enough emphasis to the upper body. This is because there's more muscle groups to train in your upper body than there is in your lower body. So in general, it does make sense to have more upper body days than lower body days. Push-pull legs has 4 upper body days and 2 lower body days. Finally, in this modified push-pull leg split, you'll see that I moved biceps off of pull days onto push days. This does a couple of things, but the main one is that it allows you to train your biceps when they're fresh. One of the main issues with push-pull legs is that biceps comes after pulling movements and triceps comes after pushing movements. When you have push and pull days, you're not going to perform as well on your biceps and triceps since they are fatigued after being used indirectly with your pushing and pulling exercises. Now, one of the other disadvantages with pull days is that your pull days tend to be relatively short since you have fewer muscle groups to train. So when I moved biceps off of pull days, I had to move something over to fill that gap, and I chose side delts. This actually works quite nicely because upright rows are something of a pulling movement, and it lets you spread out some of your delt training. Now let's talk about some of the disadvantages of push-pull legs. First of all, triceps come after pushing movements. As we said, we solved the issue of biceps by taking them off of pull days onto push days, but here triceps still come after your major pushing movements. Now notice that I did try to address this by taking our main heavy tricep movement, close grip bench press, and actually giving it priority on push day number 2 by putting it first. So my first push day is more chest heavy and my second push day is more tricep heavy. So remember that you still can make adjustments to the split by exercise selection and ordering of movements. Next, with push-pull legs, you tend to have tough leg days. This is because all of your leg work is concentrated onto 2 days, while your upper body is spread over 4 days. I started this because I tried to address it somewhat by taking calves off of leg day and moving it onto pull day. Calves aren't very fatiguing, so this doesn't really make much of a difference, but it does make the workout a little bit shorter. And since pull days tend to be your shortest day, it also evens out your day lengths. Finally, as I mentioned before, legs and pull day come back to back in the middle of the week. This is a little bit suboptimal because if you have a really tough leg day, you may impact your pulling performance. But as you saw, I chose exercises for my second pull day that are less axially loaded, like chin-ups. And I also put squats on leg day number 1 instead of deadlifts. Squats are going to be relatively less fatiguing from an axial loaded standpoint, and they don't involve your back as much. So all in all, after the modifications, I think the split is going to be a solid one. I personally don't like the traditional push-pull leg split, but once you start making a few modifications, you can improve things a lot. I will be sharing this full program as an Excel file in my Facebook group, so find the link in the description below, join the group, and you can download the program for free. If you want to look better, one of the quickest ways you can improve that is by shedding fat. Check out my book, Dr. Swole's Fat Loss and Body Recomposition Manual, where I walk you through step-by-step how to optimize your nutrition. If you want to see another 6-day program, check out this video where I share a full program based on the Arnold split. People tend to think of push-pull legs before the Arnold split, but I think there are some unique advantages to the Arnold split that you should consider. Make sure you subscribe for more top-notch science-based hypertrophy programs, and we'll see you next time.